What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Ball Don't Lie podcast. Here's Gish for today.
This is Evan Bova.
So this is our first episode on YouTube. We are testing out a mic today and also a tripod with my phone that's recording. But nonetheless, we are here today to discuss college football, preseason, a lot of things. Evan came up with some AP top 5 questions, and I did some research on power rankings for the SEC, Big Ten, and the ACC. So we will be discussing all of that today. So first, Evan, would you like to start? We're going to start with AP top 5. What are you expecting in terms of top 5 play?
Well, for right now, obviously my number one is going to be Ohio State. Okay, Ohio State is going to be the returning champion of college football. They already have a powerful recruiting class they were going to bring in, as well as the talent they already have. They already have Caleb Downs and Jeremiah Smith, who are the two best football players in the entire country. And then they also have Carnell Tate, who's a strong wide receiver too. He'd be a wide receiver one at pretty much every other school if he wasn't on Ohio State. And then the new guy, Mylan Graham. He had a great spring game. So, I mean, he's got some potential coming into the league for Ohio State.
He did play last year. He was on the squad, but just didn't get many minutes because look at the squad that they had on the wide receiver core that is the best in the nation, hands down.
They have 6 wide receiver ones on their team right now.
Pretty much. You could play at least 4 of them as wide receiver one on any team in college football.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of Ohio State, I mean, we're all Ohio State fans. You can see the gear back here. But from an unbiased perspective, you know that, like, even with bringing in 2 new RBs, I mean, we've had James People. He played last year a little bit in garbage time, scored some points. But he is the guy. He can be the guy. And you bring in West Virginia transfer, running back, and he's going to be a beast as well. The 1-2 combo is kind of the new thing in the NCAA running back-wise. So I think it's going to be pretty good. QB, saying has to develop and accustom himself to normal game scenarios, but nonetheless, if he does even just decent, again, like Evan said, number 1 team in the nation, that can be respected.
And the other thing that helps with them is their recruiting. I mean, they obviously have multiple transfers coming in. They have plenty of kids coming up from high school to Ohio State. I mean, they just had Sincere Johnson, 4-star linebacker from Glenville, just committed there the other day. So that adds on to their defense. They have Arvell Reese coming in this year to play linebacker, but he was there before, but I'm seeing he's coming up. So their defense is still going to be strong while their offense is still going to remain pretty powerful. But that's it for Ohio State for now. But, I mean, still a lot more to prove as the season's going to start.
I agree. Who do you have next?
My number 2, I mean, I still think this is everyone thinks this is going to be right. It's going to be Texas. Texas has got to be the number 2 in the league. They're not losing a lot of guys. Their defense is going to be very strong. Their offense is going to be good. Arch Manning's coming in. I feel like that's the biggest part of their season, though. Is Arch Manning going to live up to the hype, or is he gonna blow it away?
I wrote in my notes. I said, of course, Texas is expected to stand out, but first, Arch must develop as expected. It's not that Arch is going to make or break Texas's season, but you're going to either guarantee them top 3 college football, no doubt, or they'll be a top 10. But it just depends on Arch's performances overall.
Their defense is already going to be good enough.
Oh my gosh, Anthony Hill Jr. returns as a linebacker.
If their offense can get it done, they should have a conference championship easily.
Linebacker Colin Simmons, who is a monster. He gave Ohio State He gave anybody last year trouble every game. Right. Safety, Michael Taffy as well. Like they're returning a lot on defense. That's their biggest thing. They have good retention. The recruiting classes are good. They're just stacked. They look to be, I would say, that top 2, possibly the national champ this year. So they're competing for it 100%. I agree.
That's right. And they also have a lot. I mean, obviously everyone knows the athleticism in Texas. I mean, you have kids in track running 9.9s.
You're right.
Fast.
Yep.
Coming out of. Obviously they got all that talent to pull from there.
And Sarkisian is a pretty solid recruiter as their head coach. Yeah, right. He's a beast. So what do you have number 3?
Number 3. This is where this could start getting questionable. I have Georgia at 3.
Okay.
That could happen. That could be it. But I mean, that's where I put. But I kind of also disagree with that in some ways. But
I find that is definitely debatable. That's not a hot take. Most definitely possible. With Georgia, again, their biggest question is going to be QB, and then can they throw the ball? Running back room is usually pretty solid, but you do have to worry about the quarterback room. Gunnar Stockton was solid last year, but he's not Carson Beck. Mm-mm. And when Carson Beck's on, he's one of the best quarterbacks in NCAA.
He's probably a top 5 quarterback in college football.
Most definitely. And in terms of like their defense will be stout. Their defense is always stout. Kirby's always got the defense ready. There's no doubt about that. So I guess we'll have to see how that develops. The quarterback and wide receiver room. The only team I would have to debate with you on possibly being 3,
it's got to be Penn State,
is our friends Penn State.
It's got to be Penn State. Yep.
With their retention of their quarterback, their running back duo, who is probably the best running back duo in the NCAA this year.
Their D-line, I mean, Penn State's got it. They had a solid D-line last year.
They did.
They could easily have one this year.
Did lose Abdul Carter, but they're still the next guys they have coming up, which I wrote down somewhere, are insane, and they look to be contending, especially with Jim Knowles, previous Ohio State defensive coordinator, coming in. That's going to be tough. That's going to be tough for Ohio State to deal with, Oregon to deal with, TTUN to deal with. I mean, they're going to be stout. Can they throw the ball? Because we know they can run the ball. They succeed in offense if they run the ball. But we're going to have to see if they can pass. If Drew Aller, because he's been known to choke in the clutch at times, can he make the big plays and win the big games? That's going to be the question. So.
Yeah, and he's going to need to have a really good breakout season this year if they want any chance of a run. I mean, they can pull off a run. They definitely can do it. But Drew Aller's got to be the guy to step up and make plays if they want to.
Yep, and James Franklin too. He's as a coach, like James Franklin almost reminded me of Ryan Day before this past championship season. Before that, Ryan Day is known as a choke artist. He loses the big games, which he did. I mean, regarding Clemson 2020, he did win that game, but he had lost to Clemson in 2019. Lost in championship game to Bama. Lost to you-know-who for 4 years.
Still got to be Michigan.
Yep. But Ryan Day goes ahead and, wins 4 straight games. Maybe I believe the best 4-game stretch.
The greatest college football playoff run ever.
Right. James Franklin reminds me of the same way. He hasn't beat Ohio State except once. Lost in the playoff last year to Notre Dame. Mind you, great Notre Dame team. No doubt. But I think Penn State was the better team. I just think maybe they didn't match up well, and Drew Aller mistakes. I know they missed a kick or two, so they have to step up. He has to have them guys ready. So
that's right. Yeah.
Sorry, go ahead with your number 4. You put Penn State, right?
That's right. Yep. Penn State was my number 4. I
Okay.
mean, we pretty much just described their whole team right there. I mean, I don't really think we have to go much depth about them.
No.
Drew Aller's got to have a season. Their defense is going to be okay. They still got that run game with those 2 backs. So Penn State's going to be a solid team this year. Definitely top 5 poll team.
I think that with Georgia, Penn State here, this 3-4 spot, I think it's interchangeable. You got to see how the teams develop. I mean, into the season. This is why it's preseason. This is post-spring. It's kind of a rough draft. So you're never going to, I guess, be really sure of it. But you're pretty accurate there, Evan.
Yeah. Whew. Okay.
And your number 5.
I'm switching this up, though. I'm not going to say who I put.
Okay.
I'm going to switch this. I'm still questionable about this, too, but I'm going to switch this to Bama. I think Bama can be a 5 team.
I respect that. He had a different team there. I won't say for his sake.
No, you can say it. It's Tennessee.
He did have Tennessee there. Mind you, with all the Nico drama and losing Dylan Sampson, they do have a pretty solid returning defense, expected to be pretty good. Their defense is usually solid, but nonetheless, they're on the offensive side of the ball. It's going to probably be rough.
They're going to be hurt.
I'm sure Josh Hoople will get them. He'll get them ready, but they're not going to be, I don't believe, a top 5 team. I don't think a top 10. But and you'll see in our power rankings here that I wrote up, they're pretty low in the SEC nonetheless. Bama. I can agree with you.
Yeah.
There could be other teams there, but in terms of Bama, as I wrote, I think that after last year, after the shocker of a season that they had, I think Kalen DeBoer gets them ready. I think he brings back discipline that they were lacking so much that kind of killed the season last year. And I think he has them boys ready to play. I think they come back to not normal Nick Saban Bama ball, but
Feed Ryan Williams. They
I
feed
agree.
Ryan Williams.
Yeah, Ryan Williams is going to be insane. The running game will be good. Quarterback, I don't know that they're so decided yet. I'm pretty sure they're still
definitely hurting after losing Milroe. Milroe's a big loss, but it's Alabama. They're going to have a guy to step up and take
right.
plays.
And obviously the defense their defense is always very good. So yeah, the question for them is the QB. Can DeBoer rebound after a season like that he's received so much criticism for? Which I mean, for a somewhat decent reason. So yeah, I like your rankings. I can agree with you on a lot of those. I will say, other maybe 5 spot are the Oregon Ducks.
Right.
Mind you, they lost 10 players to the NFL draft, including including their quarterback of 6 years of experience. Right. But nonetheless,
did they keep their running back? I can't
remember. Jordan James.
Yeah. Did they keep him or not?
I don't think so, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. Nonetheless,
that's a big loss too.
They lost a lot, but with their recruiting classes, dude, they'll be just fine. They'll be right in the mix, and they still have guys. They're still locked in.
Yeah, they definitely returned some guys. They lost a couple guys on defense. I know they lost Jeffrey Basso. He was a senior.
Oh, jeez. But nonetheless, yeah, they'll be ready to play.
Yeah, they'll be
no doubt.
Ready.
So they can contend for that 5-6 spot too. Right. So, Evan, I agree with your rankings. Good job. I'm proud of you for that. Now we move on. Conference power rankings post spring. I wrote some stuff up. We have laptop / Chromebook just in case for research purposes. But to start, I'm going to start, as much as it sounds crazy, me being a Buckeyes fan, I'm going to start with the SEC. Now, in terms of the SEC Big Ten conversation, I'm still on the fence. I think that in their respective ways, each conference you can debate each conference is better depending on what perspective you take. Nonetheless, I am going to start with the SEC. At the bottom 5, I've got Mississippi State, Kentucky, Arkansas, Vanderbilt, Missouri. I think that these teams do not have a lot of hope. I don't even know that any of them would really be spoilers. I think Missouri, Arkansas maybe could pop off some spoiler games, but nonetheless, I mean, Mississippi State, they lost a lot through the portal. They didn't gain much back, so they're not looking promising. And Kentucky did get, actually, funny enough, a transfer from a school, an FCS school, Incarnate Word. Never heard of the school. Nonetheless, transfer QB, but Mark Stoops, with the season he just had and how the program's looking, he's probably on the hot seat, so I don't expect much from Kentucky. Arkansas looks to be somewhat, I guess okay at the best, but their defense lacks. The running game between their quarterback and their running back, quarterback being Taylon Green and running back Braylon Russell, looks to be a good run game, but the defense looks weak, and there weren't really many changes done. Vanderbilt, Diego Pavia returns their quarterback, but their schedule looks absolutely miserable. Yeah. So, and Missouri lost a lot. They lost Brady Cook. They lost Luther Burden. There's their passing game. They did get Penn State transfer Bo Pribula, but nonetheless, at quarterback. But nonetheless, I don't expect much there. Tennessee, I put it 11. Evan probably hates me, but that's okay.
They can either be Tennessee can either be really solid or they're going to be really bad. I mean, it's just.
I don't think there's much of an in between. No,
there isn't.
And as we discussed, the Nico drama, Dylan Sampson's gone. Just not much promise there. Oklahoma. Oklahoma's an interesting one. Brent Venables might be on the hot seat. Although he moved to just defensive play calling now. and rather he will not be calling plays offensively, which is good because he's a defensive mastermind. We know that from years prior with Clemson, but he's not an offensive. I don't believe an offensive play caller in that way.
Oh, did Oklahoma lose Stutzman? Did they lose him at middle back, or is he still there?
I think he returns.
He's returning.
I think never mind.
He's
I
gone?
remember because I think it was his last game. He was crying. I think.
Yeah.
And he was a beast.
He was
an absolute
really
beast.
good.
I agree.
I think he's one of the best. He was one of the best middle backers in college football last year. So if they lost him, that's definitely a big loss to their defense. But
No
they
doubt.
have good. They have quick DBs on DE this year returning, which could help them. Their defense is looking okay, but it's the main question for Oklahoma is going to be their offense, 100% with them.
Right. I agree with you actually. And they could be one of those spoiler teams. I mean, I have them at 10. They could be one of those spoiler teams, pulls off a game or two that kind of not ruins somebody's season, but makes it definitely more challenging. But I don't find them to be a contender. Auburn A&M. I'm not sold on A&M so much. I just don't see. I mean, they brought in some decent transfers, and their classes have been getting better recruiting-wise, but I'm never really convinced by them. They're one team that I'm always kind of tripped up by and don't have much confidence in. And Auburn, actually, Jackson Arnold from Oklahoma has transferred to Auburn, so he's looking to lead the offense from the quarterback position, which is promising for them.
Yeah, that's really good for Auburn actually.
But nonetheless, we got to see if he develops and how they develop because they're always kind of on the fence too. Now we're getting closer to the contenders. These are teams that could slip into that spot, but nonetheless, Ole Miss. You got Lane Kiffin, who I've never been a huge fan. Right, Jackson Dart. That's actually what I was going to say next. But him being gone though, he's gone.
Yep.
That's going to kill them at the quarterback spot. And Lane Kiffin, solid developer of quarterbacks, but you lose Jackson Dart, and that's a real kick in the teeth.
Loss.
I agree. So, I guess they're going to have to see what they can do without him. Defense looks okay, but I don't find them to be like last year. They won't be as good.
Mm-mm.
South Carolina, under the radar, but I have them at 6. They might be on the come-up. Lenore Sellers started last year for them in some of their games. I don't believe all of them, but nonetheless. He looks to be future one of the better SEC quarterbacks. He's got promising game. So he might try to lead that offense there. And they have, I wrote this down, a 6'5", I believe a receiver, Nick Harbor, who I guess is supposed to be an athletic freak. Supposed to be an absolute beast. So who knows, he may open up that passing game for them because I don't know that they had many weapons last year or if it was as developed wide receiver room. But they did one thing. They did lose a bit to the draft, which will hurt from last year. But nonetheless. Now, we move to the contenders. I was kind of strewn on some of these, but at the 5 spot, one of my questionables, and I always hate on them, I'm not going to lie, they just never have impressed me, is Florida, the Gators. Why I have them at 5? Well, one of the biggest reasons is DJ Lagway, their quarterback. He is going to be an absolute stud. Heisman contender, I have no doubt in my mind. He should be, if he plays the way he is expected to play. He's got some wide receivers coming in. UCLA transfer, J. Michael Sturdivant, I believe his name is pronounced, and Eugene Wilson III, who I believe is already there, but nonetheless, looking to be a solid wide receiver room for him. In the O&D line, a lot were retained, a lot are staying. So, in terms of your foundation, they're going to be good there, which is drastically important. Overall, it's going to be, can Florida actually put it all together? I've seen a lot of Florida seasons where they were supposed to be pretty solid, and they couldn't seem to put it together. They lost seemingly winnable games, or they lost close games. So it's going to be, can they play in clutch time? Number 4, LSU. LSU has Nussmeier coming back, and he is going to be an absolute beast. Garrett Nussmeier is also probably a Heisman contender, the QB spot. I didn't write so much down for them as I don't really know much about them. But what I do know, my biggest question is Brian Kelly. Brian Kelly has never convinced me either, funny enough. But he seems to not execute so well in the big games.
And they're going to be hurting after losing Kyron Lacey too.
Yep, that too. That's going to be a big focal point there. I agree with you there. Now we get to the top 3. Evan and I spoke about this, and do you have any comments on this before we go ahead? 2 and 3.
You can't really you can't make anything perfect, any perfect predictions right now.
Right.
I mean, we don't know what's going to happen in the season or anything. So I feel like the 2 and 3 spots that you have right now, like they're either of these 2 teams right here are 2 or 3. They should be nowhere near under 3.
Right.
If they're under 3, there's a problem. But yeah, I feel like you're 2 and 3 are dead on.
So I'll give you first. We'll go to 1 actually. Texas.
Yeah.
I expect that.
Texas, if they play the way they should, Texas should easily win the conference for the SEC.
We spoke about them. Right. These next 2 teams are, I believe, interchangeable, as Evan kind of described. I put at the 2 spot, I put Alabama and Georgia at the 3. Now, depending on the quarterback position for Georgia, they may easily be a 2 spot. They may be a 1 spot. Crazy enough. Georgia always comes to play. Kirby Smart is always got the boys ready to play.
I just feel like it's just offensively for Georgia. If Georgia has an offense, I feel like they can get that 2 spot. But if their offense can't get it going this year, I think they're going to be at the 3.
Yep, I agree.
Everything, like, Alabama has a good offense and a good defense. Georgia always has a good offense. So it's really leaning on the offensive side of the ball for Georgia if they're going to be a contender for the conference or not.
Yep. Oh,
They should make the playoffs. They should make the playoffs. But I'm not saying they're going to because they very well couldn't.
Right. So that is it for the SEC. Now we move on to our home.
The good part.
The Big Ten. So, I don't want to start with contenders. I want to start down here at the bottom, per se. I didn't write for the first 3 teams. I didn't write anything, actually.
Oh, my God.
Not out of disrespect, but...
no, in terms of contention, almost like...
None.
I'm looking at 7 and down, and just like none of these teams look like they even have a shot.
Actually, I'm not gonna lie to you. I give 10 and up. These 4, 7 through 10. There's actually some upset ability, spoiler ability, I believe.
Maybe,
but
maybe at 7, maybe 7 and 8, maybe.
Okay.
I can agree with that.
I'm gonna start at the bottom. 18 being Purdue, 17 being Maryland, 16 being Northwestern. I wrote nothing. The only thing I will comment, Northwestern. They do actually return to their home field this year, as it was having renovations last year. So they will be home to play, I guess, if that makes much of a difference. But nonetheless, I don't have any hope for these teams. I don't know that they will be able to compete. I don't think they will. Purdue went 1-11 last year. I don't know Maryland or Northwestern's records, but I don't believe they were stunning by any means. So, yeah. At 15... I surprised myself by writing this, but I then realized that they're not who they used to be. I always think of Michigan State to be such a beast team, and for some reason...
Braylon Collier.
Shout out Braylon Collier. He is from Perkins, which is not far from our hometown.
Yeah, they stomped us.
And he's a beast wide receiver coming in for them. So he may get some time, and he'll be in the NCAA football game. So, they are returning 2/3 of their last year's team, but... there's a bright future possible, but for now, I don't see much coming out of it.
I don't know. I know this has nothing to do with their season, but God, the Michigan State uniforms, dude.
They look all right.
So crisp.
Okay.
They look so good.
14, we got Rutgers again returning a lot, especially their offense returning 81% from Ben
Rothar.
Yeah, Ben Rothar, also from an area school.
Hey, we beat them though. We shouldn't have, but we did. We shouldn't have beat them, but we did.
But they did lose a key running back, and they're middle tier at the best. Wisconsin at 13, that hurt to right. But they did get a transfer quarterback, Billy Edwards Jr. They revamped their staff and the roster. So I guess we'll see what they can do, but they have a very tough schedule. I forgot to note that. I knew that coming in.
God, me as a Big Ten person, I feel like not too long ago, maybe 7 years ago, like Wisconsin used to be good.
Oh no, they were top five.
They used to be really,
they were always
really
top
good, and it just hurts me to see them
It does to kind of fall off for a time.
Right. Yeah.
Luke Fickell, previous defensive coordinator for Ohio State. We'll see if he can just come back and produce as their coach. This is his second year, I think.
I think so.
So, hoping he can come back from that. 12, as Evan said, Minnesota. Overlooked. But still, they have a very simple game of football. They don't play crazy, sort of eye-opening football. Mm-hmm. Pretty grinded out football. So I'm not expecting too much there. UCLA.
Did they lose Harden? Their running back?
I'm not
I don't
sure
think they did. I think they still haven't. They lost Stuyvesant because he went.
Yeah.
I forget where he went.
He
went to
transferred.
Florida,
Yeah.
I think. Yep. He went to Florida. Stuyvesant's gone. That's a hit to their offense. But
they did bring in Nico.
They did.
Iamaleava. So
Harden, dude, he could be a good running back. He could. It's just that O-line's just got to get it done for UCLA.
Yeah, that is actually. I agree with that. Their line has kind of been inconsistent, and usually, if it was consistent, it wasn't great. Yeah. So
they could. They're gonna have to have a running offense this year, though. That's for sure.
Yep.
They can't be a passing offense,
especially with Nico, if he comes in and starts, which I expect him to, but nonetheless. From here, we get some spoilers, some possible contenders in my book. Washington, sneaky. Ohio State goes to Washington week 4. That could be a trap game. That could be an unexpected. You're going all the way out west to play. That could be a tough game. Now, they did get a good Arizona transfer cornerback, Takario Davis. He's going to help set a foundation in the secondary. And they did return their starting quarterback, DeMond Williams Jr., and their running back. So, Jonah Coleman, who I'm hoping they're going to have a run game. I'm expecting, but nonetheless. So they're returning some, and they're that sneaky you don't expect much, and then boom, they wham. They hit you when you're not looking.
That can go with any of the next teams that we're about to
really,
say.
yes, I agree with that.
Any of these next 3 teams, they can pull something off like that.
Yeah, I agree. Oh, yeah. One of my biggest teams that I like to diss on, USC. USC is, like, anywhere Lincoln Riley goes, you expect the brother to be, very good offensively. Recruits well offensively, always has a good offense usually. But, man, his defense has always struggled. That's one thing they did focus on this offseason. They did lose some to the transfer portal, but they had the 13th ranked recruiting class. And they're returning their best wide receivers. They improved the defense, recruited defense. I think he's locking in. So they're looking to improve. And they could be that team again. You don't expect much. I know they're a household name, but nonetheless, they could sneak up and get you. Nebraska. Surprised myself to rank them this high at 8.
I wouldn't have ranked them any different. I feel like they're better than every single team down there.
That's true. I agree. Just it's weird. Like Nebraska football is coming back after being so dominant in the 90s.
Like to me, it just looks so weird. Like seeing Nebraska up here at 8, and then Wisconsin down at the bottom.
It does. Michigan State.
It's weird.
I remember when they were insane, man. They knocked off Ohio State the one year.
Even Rutgers weren't usually terrible a couple years ago. But
no, they were mid tier, but now
they would have been about 11, 12-ish, but now they're near the bottom. I guess that also comes in with the more teams that came in the conference. Was that
right?
Was that
last
doesn't
year?
help.
Yeah, last year.
That doesn't help their queso. So
no.
UCLA came in.
Washington, Oregon,
USC, Oregon. Oregon's the main person that came into the Big Ten.
We're getting there with them.
Yeah, the power. Yeah,
So,
We'll get there.
but Nebraska, Dylan Raiola, he's back at QB. Looks to be promising, looks to develop. He wasn't bad last year, but I think he might be a possible one of the best in the Big Ten this year. He's going to compete for that. And he has the ability. It's just going to be, again, if he can put it all together. Now, the running back and O-line look solid. Nothing insane, but they seem to retain a little bit. They did receive a Missouri defensive end transfer, Williams Winery, I believe. And the defense, the line in general, they look to be dangerous this year. So Nebraska's promising. Nebraska football might be back on the rise. At 7, we have the Iowa Hawkeyes. Defense is always good. Usually very solid or good. But can you believe it? Got a QB transfer, South Dakota State. They look promising from an offensive perspective. They look to be improving and possibly even a contender. Insane. You wouldn't believe it, right? But nonetheless, Iowa looks to be on the bubble there for contention. Now we have the Big Ten's contenders, the big boys.
Here we go.
I hurt myself with this 5 and 6 ranking, but I did it anyway. I went with it. At 6, we have Indiana. Now, after losing Rourke last year, their starting quarterback, that's going to hurt. But Kurt Cignetti gets them boys ready. My dad always tells me he's a winner, dude. He's a winning coach. That dude just wins. They're going to have them boys ready to play. And now that Indiana's been given that chance, like last year, they were given that opportunity, and they played pretty dang well. 10-2. When's the last time you've seen Indiana win 10 football games? I think they're going to compete now. I will say Cal QB transfer Fernando Mendoza comes in looking to lead the offense. But one of the best wide receivers in college football this year, Elijah Surratt, is going to be a beast. One of the best in the Big Ten, no doubt. He has proven that. Last year he was good too. So this year he's probably going to be a beast. I don't know much about the defense, but nonetheless, Indiana football might just be back. At 5, this is what hurt to rank in front of Indiana. I have Illinois. The Illinois Fighting Illini. They're returning 3/4 of their team. Their retention is exceptional, which I think is going to be some of the biggest reason I rank them above. With their quarterback, Luke Altmaier, he's returning, and he was pretty good last year. He's looking to be one of the best QBs in the Big Ten. Looking to lead the offense for sure, and he's improved quite a bit. Illinois could definitely resemble last year's Indiana in terms of play, in terms of performance. I guess it's going to be up to them to play that well. I guess we'll see. I'm kind of excited to see them play. Oddly enough,
yeah, it's going to be tough for them to win that though.
Oh, most definitely. I agree. And I don't know how their schedule shakes out. So it'll be interesting to see them play. At 4.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Disgusting. That team up north.
You got to give them.
You got to give them the credit. I mean, it was up to me. I'd rank them at the very bottom, but, that's not legal. And that's not right. So,
hey, at least one thing we can admit, the Big Ten runs college football. But no, I don't care.
That's a separate day.
It is a separate day, but I don't care.
Nonetheless, last year was kind of a national championship hangover, as I like to think. Lost a lot and had a year. But this year, coming into it, Justice Haynes going to return our BRB1. The QB situation is technically not decided, but I'm pretty sure we all know Bryce Underwood's probably going to start. I'm praying that Ohio State absolutely destroys him and makes him regret going there in November. But nonetheless,
he had a rough spring game. My God.
Nonetheless, he's looking to be their guy, and their defense is always pretty solid.
Yeah.
Or not, very good. So they're looking to contend, looking to come back kind of from where they were.
We better freaking beat them by 40 this year. I swear to God.
At number 3, we have the Oregon Ducks.
Yep, I agree with that because they're not good defensively against Penn State. Penn State's got the way better defense and more efficient offense than Oregon does right now. But as of now,
on paper. Again, lost a lot to the draft. We all knew that. Dylan Gabriel leaving is going to hurt.
Dylan Gabriel's gone. Tez Johnson's gone. They've lost a couple guys on defense. They still have Stewart though. They still do have Stewart. He could have a breakout season and have a really nice season and get Oregon maybe
he was
in the 2 or 1
right?
spot. He was.
Yeah, he was
wide
good.
Receiver too, and he was not bad. He was a good
They
player.
do get a transfer QB, and I know him from playing NCAA. Funny enough, Dante Moore, out of UCLA, actually pretty solid again. Knowing the weapons he had, UCLA compared to Oregon, he's probably going to be pretty good this year. I would assume he's going to produce. And overall, they're going to be slightly inexperienced, and I'm not calling it a rebuilding year, but it'll be
It's like a reload year. It's not like a
kind of
year.
I
It's
agree.
like
You reload,
year.
and it's not the same. They were very stacked last year. So.
They just
41-21, bro.
They just got unlucky
Go
in that
Bucks.
Rose Bowl game.
Number 2, I think we all know who's here. I put Penn State.
Yep, it's gotta be Penn State.
Arguable for number 1, I guess, but I think Penn State sits at the 2.
It's just all dependent on Drew Aller's clutch. If Drew Aller can execute in the clutch moments this year, then Penn State's gonna be a really solid team.
If James Franklin can coach, but it all kind of ties there. Overall, after their last year's playoff run, you expect a lot. With what they're returning, 3/4 of their team, they look to be insane. And Jim Knowles going there to be their defensive coordinator scares the freaking heck out of me. But nonetheless, they're looking to contend for a Big Ten title, no doubt. They're hungry, and I think they're coming for Ohio State's neck, if you want honesty. But
they could, and as much as I hate to say it, they very well could do that.
Yep.
That could be such a losable game for Ohio State if Penn State comes ready to play.
Is in the shoe this year though. It is Columbus. So, and at number 1 we have Ohio State, returning national champions, dude. I mean, what more can you say? And the only reason I didn't put Penn State in front is because Penn State's beat Ohio State how many times in the last how many years? One time in the last how many years?
The only thing that I think really, really helps Ohio State, like, strategically, is Brian Hartline to offensive coordinator. Okay, Brian Hartline's working these receivers day in, day out. He knows what passes they like to get thrown. He knows what routes they like to run. So he's going to know what concepts to apply to the receivers.
This is true.
To get them open. I think that's going to be very good for Ohio State, having Hartline on OC.
I hope he doesn't take away too much from the run game, but I think he's smarter than that. So I believe it'll be a good mix, and he knows what to call.
And the other thing about that, not just for this year, but, I mean, who knows? Obviously, we already know he's the greatest receiver recruiter in college football. That's not even a question. But can he maybe recruit, like, other offensive positions? Could he start recruiting quarterbacks that are going to turn out to be NFL talent? Could he start recruiting running backs that are going to start turning into NFL talent?
That's possible. Could he branch out?
Brian Hartline could very well be the next head coach of Ohio State when Ryan Day's done.
I'm not putting that past you. Nope. He's a game changer. I mean, you look at the wide receivers coming in, the ones who haven't even showed up yet. I mean, we just offered Jeremiah Smith's brother. We just offered Marvin Harrison's brother. I mean, good Lord. It's going to be, for years to come, the wide receiver room is
Ohio State's not going to have any problem passing the ball anytime soon.
Nonetheless, QB spot, Sayan should be the man, but we don't know yet. He may develop.
He looked good in his spring game. He
looked
really
solid.
Did. He can do it.
I believe. I agree with you.
That opening game against Texas, dude.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's gonna be a big one.
That game's. He's gonna get tested in that game. That's gonna be for sure.
O-line, D-line. O-line should be solid. D-line might be questionable. That's secondary.
D-line's the only thing of Ohio State that might have a flaw in it. Linebackers are good. DBs are looking good.
Oh, my gosh. It looks disgusting.
Wide receivers don't even have to question that. Running backs, James Peoples going to get it done. QB and D-line are the only two questions for Ohio State that could have any flaw in their game.
And if they're even average Ohio State level,
I mean, right? It's Ohio State.
We're great.
We have some of the best passing rush developers around. I mean, we're going to have a D line that's going to be at least decent, and if they're decent, they're going to have Arbel Reese. They're going to have freaking Sonny Styles coming right behind him anyway. So like, what does it matter?
Yep. So now finally we move on to the ACC. I put it all on one page, and I got to be honest. Being the size and the importance of the Big Ten and the SEC, I put less emphasis on the ACC, but nonetheless, I definitely did my research. For the bottom few, Stanford, Cal, Wake Forest, not much really to say. No. There's just not much hope there again. They lose a lot in the portal, or a lot of their best.
I wouldn't even say there's hope for any of these teams until about 9. Maybe that's even questionable too.
10, maybe 11, but I think, and I mean, you have BC at 14, Virginia at 13, Syracuse at 12. Just lose a lot. You lose a lot through the portal from these schools. You lose some to the draft, and by the time you have left over, now you have to go hard in the portal, or you're just not going to produce. It's not like you see all these guys. Hey, let's go to Boston College. Hey, let's go to Virginia. Like, you just don't see that. You don't see the top recruits doing that.
Right.
So, at 10, NC State. I always like NC State. I think they're always kind of a surprising team unless they're just really horrible. And usually that's not the case. Usually they're a 500 or just a little bit above team, but they always kind of cause some noise somewhere. And I think they could be decent this year, but again, nothing crazy. At 9, I was surprised I put them up this high after the year they had last year.
Oh God,
Florida State. Everybody giving Mike Norvell a lot of credit, but I'm questionable.
So much potential.
They do.
I have no idea how they had a really bad season last year.
Just injuries and
they should have had a way better season last year.
They had a lot of close games too. If you look, there were how many games that were separated by minimal points? Not much. One-score games.
That's right.
So,
I mean,
they went heavy in the portal too. They went heavy. New coordinators in total. Gus Malzahn being offensive coordinator, I believe. Tony White is the defensive coordinator.
The only thing looking good for FSU, which is expected, is going to be their receivers. FSU's always got solid, if not exceptional, receivers in their core.
I agree. And they
almost got Jeremiah Smith.
They did
when he was recruiting.
Yep,
but they didn't.
We
did.
Next, I have Pitt. Pitt's always kind of a sneaky team, other than the Kenny Pickett year, or years. I don't have much to say about them, really. They're always consistently decent. Could knock you off if you're not careful, but I don't find them to be contenders. Yeah. Virginia Tech, man.
The bully.
I feel like they're just really, I find them to be cool. You just wish they would prove it a little. You know?
Terrion Stewart.
Yes, Terrion Stewart.
I mean, yeah, it's just cool.
They did get two new coordinators on offense and defense each. And Kai Madrones does have QB experience for them, but they're gonna and they do have a lot to build off of, but they're actually gonna have to put it together. At 6, North Carolina Tar Heels. Bill Belichick comes in for them. Big surprise, but I think he may have the possibility to make the program a contender. I wouldn't say I wouldn't say a top 6 or 8 team, but they could be that sneaky top 15 right in the mix.
Yeah, this is going to be NC with Bill Belichick. Bill Belichick's going to do a lot because NFL and college is completely different. The way the game's played. So it's going to be a little bit of change for Bill Belichick. He's going to be doing a lot of experimenting,
But if he could recruit,
right? But if it works, if what he's doing works, and he can keep on doing it, and North Carolina could rise in their standing. They definitely could.
And they do have Gio Lopez at quarterback for them. He's possibility to be one of the best QBs in the ACC. So, nonetheless, they have definitely, and an easier schedule this year, too. They just have the possibility to grow, and I wouldn't say exponentially, but I wouldn't say from a slow perspective either. They could grow. At 5, here we start to get some of the contenders. I have SMU. Biggest thing, Kevin Jennings comes back for QB spot, but when you look at a team like SMU, they had one of their surprising years last year. They had that year where you kind of break out, where they weren't crazy good by any means, but they were always eh. But they had a pop-out season last year.
They did have a really good season last year.
Can they reproduce? That's going to be the question. They lost a lot from the draft. They're not retaining well. But if they can recruit decently, I think they have a chance to be decent, to contend for an ACC championship. 4, I'm surprised I had them this low, but my untrust in Mario Cristobal, his postseason struggles with Miami.
The biggest loss with Miami is it's going to be
Cam Ward, yeah, 100%. And they bring in Carson Beck from Georgia, but nonetheless, he's not Cam Ward.
Right. Carson Beck's a good quarterback. He's a great quarterback, but he's streaky. He can get really hot, or he can get really cold. I mean, Cam Ward was a guy where he was never the problem with the team. That's how you can put that. He always did good. He always performed for Miami. The big question for Miami, I feel like, in my opinion, would have been their defense. Their defense
It's always kind of eh.
Right. They're not anything like special to break out of that ACC right now from here, and that's why I agree with you ranking with them at 4, because they lost Cam Ward. Cam Ward's a big leader. Yes, they have Carson Beck coming up, but is he gonna be what's the word? Is he gonna be reliable?
Okay.
Is he gonna be reliable throughout the season to maybe win some games for Miami, or is he gonna be streaky like he was with Georgia? Because last year I would have never predicted that Georgia lost to Alabama. I would have never thought that they would have done that.
Yeah, no, especially not last year. Yeah. I will say they have been recruiting exceptionally well, though. Probably best between them and Clemson, best recruiting classes in the ACC.
They have
hands
great
down.
Miami. They have great recruiting.
They have a bright future. Can they develop?
Right.
That's
also because they have all that Florida talent, though.
That's true.
Florida produces tons of talent. I mean, Jeremiah Smith came out of Florida. He almost went to Miami, by the way.
Yes,
but he did
there too. Louisville at the 3, and I have Georgia Tech at the 2. Crazy, sounds insane, and I think that Georgia Tech, Louisville, those could flip. Those could definitely be the opposite,
and it very well could be Miami bumping up too.
That's true.
Miami could.
That's true. But I have Louisville. They played a big portal role and got good results out of it. I did list their top portal, which was Miller Moss, coming in at QB for them. That's huge. But they got other people too.
That's right. Yep.
And they're always kind of in that ACC mix. To remind everyone, they did go into Clemson and beat Clemson last year. If you go into Clemson and beat Clemson, you're pretty good.
Yeah,
You've got to be pretty good.
Not anyone can just go into Death Valley and just beat it.
No.
Win.
So they have a bright future. Georgia Tech, surprise, as I wrote. They always play tough. The heart there, the discipline there is next to almost none.
Just like, the football mindset.
Yep.
Really.
They're passionate, man. And they new defensive coordinator coming in, Blake Gideon, but he has experience. And Haynes King, their quarterback from last year, pivotal last year, almost beat Georgia. I mean, heck, he played insane.
But can he do it again?
Right.
That's the big question.
They've grown to be a contender. Can they put it together? And at number 1, I don't think this was a doubt.
Clemson.
We have the Clemson Tigers, returning ACC champs, as I wrote. But and they retained, I guess, the most out of any team in the country. They're the most players from last year, so they're going to be good.
Clemson can really, they can really do some damage in the playoff if they. Well, yeah, like you said, they kept everybody. If they play how they are supposed to play, they should win ACC. They should win the conference, which means that they should get a playoff spot. But the big question for Clemson is because obviously the ACC is not the Big Ten or the SEC. They don't have competition that Ohio State or like Alabama or Georgia is going to play in their conference games. So while Clemson's playing Virginia Tech, and Ohio State's playing Texas first game in SEC play, is Clemson going to be able to keep up with competition in the playoff to make a run?
The adjustments
that's going to be a big question for Clemson's
I agree.
playoff run. Now, their regular season, they should win the conference, there's no doubt. If they don't, it's a bust season.
I would agree with that too. They're expected to be that team again. Dabo Swinney's always got them playing at least decent, and usually it's above average or exceptional.
He's always got that team ready to go.
So they're going to hopefully put all that together, and Swinney will have them ready.
Mm-hmm.
But that's all I've got.
Yeah,
I think, Bova, that's all you've got.
I think it is.
We want to thank you guys. This is our first episode on YouTube for the Ball Don't Lie podcast, but nonetheless, we'll be back, and we do have episode 1 on Spotify. I may try to post this on there, but I don't know how that's going to go. So thank you guys for tuning in. Bova, thank you for being here today. And, see you guys later. Ball Don't Lie.